What if Carl Fredricksen's journey in Up was more than just a physical adventure? For many fans, Carl's touching story of lifting his house into the sky can be seen as something even more symbolic, a spiritual passage. According to this theory, Carl may have passed away before embarking on this adventure, and what we see in the film is, in fact, a spiritual journey where he needs to let go of the past, reunite with the love of his life, and make peace with himself. At the beginning of the movie, we witness Carl's life after the loss of his wife, Ellie. He is an elderly, lonely man deeply attached to his house, the last physical connection he has with her. This attachment is so strong that he refuses to leave, even under pressure from contractors who want to demolish it to build modern buildings. However, this clinging to the past leaves Carl in a suspended life state. He is trapped in memories and unfulfilled desires, unable to truly move forward. The theory suggests that when Carl decides to tie thousands of balloons to his house and take off, it symbolizes more than a simple act of rebellion or escape. In fact, this could be the moment he finally breaks away from the earthly world, representing his metaphorical death. As he releases the ties and lets the house lift into the sky, Carl crosses the boundary between life and death, embarking on a journey to another realm, where he believes he may, in some way, reunite with Ellie and fulfill their shared dream of visiting Paradise Falls. In this sense, the floating house becomes like a boat or spiritual vehicle, a concept present in many traditions and mythologies throughout history. In Greek mythology, for example, there's the famous river Styx, crossed by Charon to lead souls to the other side. Similarly, Carl's balloon-laden house would serve as his means of transport to a new phase of existence, where he still needs to resolve emotional issues before he's truly ready to depart. This act of detaching the house from the ground holds deep symbolism, reinforcing the idea that Carl is undergoing a transition. He's not just carrying a building through the sky, he's taking along all the memories of a lifetime and gradually realizing that he needs to let go of the weight they represent to find peace. This is the beginning of a redemption journey, where he must confront his attachments and unresolved issues with the help of new characters. From this point on, the idea that Carl is embarking on a kind of spiritual journey becomes more evident with each step, inviting him to let go of the past and prepare for a possible reunion with Ellie. Once Carl starts his journey, he's not alone. Russell, the young scout who knocks on his door before the departure, becomes his unexpected travel companion. At first glance, Russell is just a boy determined to earn his, assisting the elderly badge. But from the perspective that Carl is on a spiritual journey, Russell could be much more than just a scout. He could be seen as a kind of spiritual guide or even a guardian angel in disguise, with the mission of helping Carl let go of traumas and rediscover the joy in life. Russell is pure, full of energy, and sees the world with innocent eyes, traits that starkly contrast with Carl's bitterness at the start of the adventure. Russell's innocence seems to be exactly what Carl needs to reopen his heart. Russell appears right when Carl decides to leave, as if destined to accompany him and light the way. Throughout the journey, he insists on forming bonds, and bit by bit, Carl starts to reassess his outlook on life. As a spiritual guide, Russell helps Carl relive moments of happiness, experience empathy, and rediscover reasons to smile. Unlike Carl, Russell is in search of something simple. He wants recognition, affection, and the pride of earning his badge. This desire represents a form of unconditional love and support, as if Russell is there just to help Carl complete his mission. In a spiritual reading, this aligns him with the image of an angel or guide who asks for nothing in return except the well-being of the person they're helping. At key moments, like when Carl begins to open up about his story with Ellie, Russell listens attentively and creates a genuine connection, offering Carl the support he hadn't felt since his wife's passing. As the journey progresses, Russell helps Carl confront painful aspects of his past and ultimately release the weight of his sorrow. Russell is persistent, insisting on being involved, and unknowingly leads Carl to appreciate the value of human connections. This process shows Carl that just as he created special memories with Ellie, he can also form new relationships and cherish those around him. Ultimately, Russell represents the new generation and the continuity of life. For Carl, he is a reminder that life goes on and that there is beauty in new opportunities for connection. Russell follows a pattern found in other stories of spiritual journeys, where the guide not only offers practical help, but also leads the protagonist to an emotional awakening. In animated films, this figure often appears in the form of children, animals, or quirky characters that challenge the protagonist to see the world with new eyes. With his persistence and joy, Russell fits this tradition. He is the force that breaks Carl's cycle of isolation, giving him a chance to free himself from the guilt and hurts he still carries. Thus, Russell not only accompanies Carl but transforms him, helping him walk this spiritual journey. He is the catalyst for change and the guide Carl needed to find himself again and finally be ready to depart in peace. Besides Russell, Carl encounters two other unique characters during his journey: Doug the dog and the exotic bird Kevin. At first glance, they may seem like mere comic figures, but within the idea that Carl is on a spiritual journey, both Doug and Kevin play important roles, representing essential aspects for Carl's growth and emotional transformation. Together, they bring simplicity, loyalty, and acceptance, elements that help Carl free himself from the emotional weight he carries and open up to the unexpected. Doug, the talking dog who instantly attaches himself to Carl, is more than just a source of comic relief. His affectionate personality and unwavering devotion represent unconditional love and acceptance, something Carl desperately needs to heal his emotional wounds. Doug sees Carl as he is and accepts him without reservation, something Carl had lost since Ellie's death. This simple, spontaneous acceptance and affection help Carl understand that love can exist in various forms and that he doesn't need to cling only to past memories. In many cultures and legends, animal companions play the role of spiritual guides and protectors, and Doug, with his loyalty, seems to assume this function. He helps Carl reconnect with the simpler and warmer side of life, something Carl had forgotten. Even when Carl rejects or is rude to him, Doug remains loyal and loving, making him a symbol of forgiveness and unconditional acceptance. Throughout the film, Carl begins to see Doug as a source of support and friendship, showing that his journey is not only physical, but also a journey to rediscover the connections he once lost. Kevin, the giant colorful bird that Russell insists on protecting, brings a completely different aspect: the unexpected and the incomprehensible. Kevin represents something Carl initially rejects for being out of the ordinary and uncomfortable. She is eccentric, unpredictable, and requires protection and care, traits that challenge Carl to open up to what is beyond his control and planning. Throughout his spiritual journey, this peculiar bird leads him to explore a more flexible side, making him realize that life is full of surprises and that not everything needs to fit perfectly into his plans. Kevin symbolizes the acceptance of chaos and the unknown. For Carl, she represents a new kind of responsibility and a test of compassion. By accepting to care for her and protect her, he allows himself to embrace the adventure that life still has to offer, even in his final stage. Kevin's role in Carl's journey is essential, as the bird forces Carl out of his comfort zone, where he always tried to control everything around him. This lesson of accepting the unpredictable is a crucial step for Carl to finally release control and prepare for peace. Throughout the movie, both Doug and Kevin go beyond their roles as adventure companions. They symbolize facets of acceptance that Carl needs to incorporate to complete his spiritual journey. Doug, with his loyalty and uncomplicated love, teaches Carl the power of simple and sincere connection, while Kevin challenges him to open up to what he cannot control. These encounters help him see that he doesn't need to carry the weight of the world alone and that there is still joy and companionship to be found. For Carl, these lessons from Doug and Kevin are essential for him to let go of the past and the obsessive control he always maintained. He learns that accepting love and friendship without pretense is part of the process of freeing himself, showing that true peace comes from balancing what we can control and what we must let happen naturally. Since the beginning of the movie, Paradise Falls is introduced as Carl and Ellie's dream destination. It's the place they always wanted to visit together but never managed to reach in life. So when Carl finally embarks on his journey with the house, his mission is to reach this place as a way of fulfilling the dream he shared with Ellie. However, within the theory that Carl has already died and is on a spiritual journey, Paradise Falls takes on a new layer of meaning. It's not just a geographic location, but a symbol of Carl and Ellie's paradise or final resting place. During the journey, Carl carries the house, and all that it represents, up to Paradise Falls. For him, this is the fulfillment of a promise and a tribute to Ellie. However, upon arriving, he faces the difficult task of accepting that to truly be with Ellie, he needs to let the house go. This moment is filled with symbolism, as it represents the need to let go of the physical and emotional memories that bind him to the past. The house, carried with so much effort by Carl, represents the emotional burden he has carried for so long. When Carl realizes he needs to release it, he is symbolically letting Ellie go, accepting that her memory will live in his heart, even as he frees himself from the physical attachments. Thus, the act of leaving the house at Paradise Falls represents Carl's final release, his acceptance that he has kept his promise and that he can now move on in peace. For Carl, reaching Paradise Falls is the pinnacle of his spiritual journey. This idyllic place symbolizes the end of his quest, where he finally finds peace and feels he has fulfilled the mission he carried in his heart. In many spiritual traditions, paradise, or heaven, is the final destination where souls find rest. For Carl, Paradise Falls takes on this role, representing a place of tranquility and reunion with the happy memories of Ellie. Upon reaching the place they dreamed of visiting together, Carl feels he has completed his purpose. It's as if he has completed his life and love cycle, honoring the bond he had with Ellie and allowing himself to finally close this chapter of his existence. The arrival at Paradise Falls is his form of spiritual departure, where he can let the past rest and prepare to move on in peace. This concept of paradise as a final resting place is common in narratives of spiritual journeys, where the protagonist finally arrives at the destination, symbolizing peace and the completion of their mission. In animations and literature, it's common to see places that represent the ultimate fulfillment of a dream or emotional closure. For Carl, Paradise Falls is that destination where he can finally feel complete and, in a way, reunited with Ellie. Upon reaching Paradise Falls and letting go of the house, Carl not only fulfills a promise but also completes his arc of redemption. The fact that he finally leaves the house at this final destination indicates that he has understood the value of moving forward, accepting the past, and allowing memories to live in his heart without needing physical objects to hold him back. By making this decision, he attains inner peace, signaling that his spiritual journey has been completed. This moment marks the conclusion of Carl's quest and gives him the chance to move forward, perhaps even to a symbolic reunion with Ellie on another plane. The theory that Carl is on a spiritual journey in Up High Adventures leads us to see the film in a much deeper, more reflective way. From the moment he takes off with the house tied to balloons, there are hints that his adventure is more than a simple physical journey. Each character and element of the story gains new meaning. Russell, the scout, appears as a spiritual guide, bringing lightness and renewal to Carl. Doug, the faithful dog, offers unconditional love and acceptance. And Kevin, the exotic bird, symbolizes the need to open up to the unexpected. Each of them plays an essential role in helping Carl free himself from the emotional ties that held him back. Carl's ultimate destination, Paradise Falls, is not just a place on the map but a spiritual resting point. Arriving there and releasing the house represents his ultimate liberation, where he honors his memories with Ellie and fulfills his promise in a symbolic way, allowing himself to move forward in peace. In the end, Up becomes not just an adventure story but a reflection on loss, grief, and the importance of learning to let go. Carl sets off on a journey to reunite with Ellie, but ends up discovering that true peace lies in opening his heart to new experiences and letting the memories of those we love live with us without the burden of possession. So, was Carl truly on a spiritual journey? What do you think? This interpretation brings new meanings to each scene and interaction, offering a layer of depth to the film's themes. Share your opinion. Do you believe Up High Adventures suggests that Carl is on a spiritual journey, or do you see this story in a different way? Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this theory and want more content like this, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps the channel grow and motivates us to bring more incredible theories about the animated movies we love. And don't leave just yet. Click on the video appearing on the screen to check out another theory that might surprise you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next adventure.